Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a new video. This is Zach from BigBangCrypto. Today we'll be going over the trading bot and some of the technical analysis we've been sharing with all of you. I think our recent video said enough about technical analysis and what we're expecting for the near future. So I won't be spending too much time on technical analysis. I think, if you want a more detailed view of what we are doing, how we are trading this, I think it could be a great option for you to join our subscriber chat because yeah, the updates there are definitely very easy to follow, but also very clear. Like the 31st, very bearish update, right? And before that, we were buying the lows when other people were pretty bearish, right? Let's not forget that we longed Ethereum at 1760, which was I haven't seen a better entry from any groups that I'm in, and I'm in a lot of groups following a lot of people just to make sure that I know what the market is expecting. And it's not that I follow them exactly, but yeah, it is very important to know what the competitors are thinking, right, guys? So that's the reason for me to always be following other groups, other people, seeing what their ideas are and what they're looking at. Um, so yeah, we have had amazing updates. Yesterday's video was just amazing, where both me and Sam both have the same idea, where we said, okay, we're reaching important resistance areas and we might get a retracement afterwards. I saw multiple YouTubers coming out like with bearish views, but guys, we had it at the 31st. We shorted 62k, 42k, sorry. So yeah, I think we're doing amazing with our technical analysis. If you want to go back and double check that for us, please do, because yeah, I'm 100% confident that what we've been sharing is very valuable and Price has been respecting our technical analysis for most part. So that's great. So in today's video, we basically have a request from one of our trading bot users. Well, multiple users would like to see me create a table, and one of the requests was to have an EOS USD table, which I'm pretty interested in creating because I think if there will be a bull market, you should have your tables prepared. And on Bybit, we have had very good experience with trading the USD pair on EOS when the alts are breaking out. So yeah, we recently had some users, of course, already getting into altcoins. I already said that there was not a confirmation. The higher volume nodes were not being turned into support yet, so it was just a little bit too early to get in, guys, because what you have to realize is that when the altcoins start to go up, the percentages are huge, the volatility is huge. You don't have to be the first one to get in, wait for some confirmation, right? So that's the best approach if you ask me. All right, so yeah, let's just have a look at EOS first of all and do some technical analysis on both the BTC and the USD pair, see what we can find on that. So EOS BTC, I think Bitfinex will be one of the better ones, and of course, would have to go to a lot higher time frame. Let's start off with the weekly. See what we can find here. All right, so you can't say well, this is a rule that a lot of new traders basically they think of it as being so simple that they forget about it, which is you don't want to long the highs, you don't want to buy the highs basically and sell the lows. That's not what you want to do. So based on that simple theory, okay, this chart is looking interesting because we are definitely at some lows, right? And we're not per se at the very low, which could mean that we're catching a falling knife, but we're at some decent lows in on the BTC pair, which is to me the most important view to have, because if EOS is gaining on the USD pair, well, that and it has only to do with Bitcoin rising in price, then that chart is pretty irrelevant to me. I want to see what is EOS doing in the crypto market. How strong is EOS of a crypto? Because if I have my funds in crypto anyway, then I should find a coin that will outperform Bitcoin basically, because Bitcoin is the most stable, has the most liquidity, and I believe in it the most. Yeah, an altcoin has to outperform Bitcoin in its Bitcoin pair for me to switch to that altcoin because I want to gain more Bitcoin eventually, right? So that's why I always start off with charting the Bitcoin pair. All right. So let's see where most of the volume has taken place, right? So um, well, that gives us a pretty clear picture. What I like to do is always take another second exchange just to make sure that the volumes and buying and selling are the same. Some of the exchanges could have like yeah, market makers that have a lot of EOS tokens to distribute or accumulate on that one exchange, and so it's better to take a second exchange, in my opinion, just to make sure that your volume profiles are in line. So let us do that for quickly. EOS Bitcoin, we go over to, let's say, yeah, all right. Let's see, because mostly Coinbase is like doing something else than the rest of the market if it comes to altcoins. But yeah, again, here we see that that's actually the case. Because if we compare these two, right, we have our high volume nodes and our point of control above us being rejected. And on Coinbase, basically, yeah, it's being supported. So that gives us a clear indication that we should not pay too much attention on the point of control of Bitfinex, because on other exchanges, well, they've been accumulating below that and they're ready to pump it, basically, right? So let's ignore this high volume node for now on this weekly chart and look for other areas where there is just more volume. So I would say that this would be an interesting area. And of course, we're going to wait and see if there is more confluence here for us to really say that it's an zone that we want to keep an eye on, basically. Um, and then the nice thing is that in our golden pocket, we also have a higher volume node. So that's also a relevant area to tag out and say, hey, this could be a reversal area. Okay, so this is in Bitcoins. All right, this looks good for me. Let's go down to the daily chart and see if there is any difference here or if we can spot anything else. So what I do like to see is this liquidity hunt here. I really um, think that's an interesting move to make here. So come below the lows, basically take all the liquidity here and then form the actual low. So that's it's just looking great from that perspective. And the reason we're looking at this daily chart is just to get an idea on how big is our profit target, how big is our first resistance away from where we are trading right now in Bitcoins. So yeah, this is looking great so far. Let's just dive in into the smaller time frames. Let's start off with the 4 hourly. So that's also looking pretty good. We're getting above our 21 EMA, although we're getting a small rejection currently from the VWAP. Um, all right. That also looks great because it's coming up to the highs, which is the 21 EMA. It's getting a rejection, but then basically being bought up 3 times in the golden pocket, showing some bullish momentum. And yeah, up it goes, it breaks the high. So currently, we'd like to wait for some confirmation that a new higher low is in. And yeah, that would, in my opinion, be a great entry because the profit. On this trade is pretty decent, 19.7. So we're looking all the way up here, right? So if you'd have to take a stop loss, let's just do a long. Where would we want to enter this? Let's say you'd enter at the 21 EMA, just a decent entry, not too bad, not too good. And your stop loss below really have to be here. Still a great risk to reward trade. So yeah, it's worth it to take a trade on Ethereum, but there is no confirmation yet. We'd want to find some support and create a higher low. That's where you probably want to look for an entry at that moment. And let's go back here. A2 would be our stop loss. 8.7. So your stop loss would be just below the point of control on Bitfinex, so that makes a lot of sense. And I would personally not per se take any profit on this trade. I will just accumulate on it. So it's a good thing to know. From here, let's have a quick look at the USD pair. So USD EOS. Let's have a look on Bitfinex first. Let's get into the higher time frame, 1 weekly. Well, if this isn't accumulation, guys, then I don't know what accumulation is. Just have a look at it. And now we get some interesting picture forming because now the point of control in USD pair is aligning with the control that we're seeing on the Coinbase pair for Bitcoin, Bitcoin EOS. So yeah, there is some accumulation happening around $2.5, $3. And that's a very, very critical area for Bitcoin for EOS at the moment. And if we can break that area, then there's a lot of upside to gain, and there is not that much downside to gain or to get here uh, with these setups. So 10% pretty decent drawdown, of course, like 50%, but yeah, your upside is also very, very large. So if we're going to create tables, we take into account that it's just going to be a very volatile price action after we break out. So at the beginning, we want to basically start accumulating in this lower range and just put some invalidations and stop losses below our entries. If it starts trading up, we like to start maybe looking at the golden pocket to take some profits from this earlier section and try to take or get back in for that portion. Um, so Yeah, let's just get to it. We're going to create a bullish table, so probably mostly buying the dips and not focusing too much on selling the tops. So that's going to be our strategy for this table. First thing we'll do is go into our test tables and see if there is anything we can use. Not that I'm going to do that, but just, oh, I'd have to look like this or search for it like this. Use table here. Okay, I would really have to look through all the thingies. But I do have XRP and EOS tables in here, so can just find those quickly. Yeah, there we have one. All right, we open it up. Oh, give me 1 second, guys. Just trying to get back into my Google account so I can open up all the Google Docs, and it will take only 10 seconds. So um, let me do that quickly. Sign back in so that we can get this EOS table together, because I'm also looking forward to trade some altcoins. The last time we did it, we had some insane gains, because what you do have to realize is at the moment that your altcoin is going to pump, you're getting like double the profits basically. So yeah, let me explain that in a second because it's pretty fun to know, but it's also dangerous. So there is also another side of the coin, to the coin. So all right, should be fixed now. Okay, so I was telling you guys that if you're trading on Bybit, you basically have to deposit the coin that you're trading the USD pair of. So if you want to trade Bitcoin, you have to have Bitcoin on Bybit. If you want to trade Ethereum, you have to have Ethereum on Bybit. If you want to trade EOS, you have to have EOS on the Bybit account. Which means that your collateral, basically your collateral value is in EOS. So let's say that we start this bot at the price of $3 per EOS, and we start buying every dip with leverage, right? So we tell our bot that it's allowed to buy the dips up to 5x leverage, and we start doing that with 100 EOS deposited. All right, so 300 bucks, trading and buying all the dips times five. And let's say Bitcoin and EOS start going up. So we have a correct trade, we have a correct expectation, the market is trending up, and altcoins are doing well. Well, what will happen is that most likely the EOS BTC pair that we just had a look at will start going up. So that will bring the value, the USD value of your EOS up, because Bitcoin is also going up. So that will double the effect on your EOS holdings. So you could have your EOS going to $10, but because you're still buying all the dips on EOS while it's going up, you're also accumulating more EOS. So your $300, so your 100 EOS basically, which were worth $300, could now be worth $1,000, but now you also have 100 EOS profit. So now you have a $2,000 account started with a $300 account just by seeing EOS go from 3 to 200 to $10. Sorry. So That's just the effect that you can have when your altcoin is going up in BTC pairing, but the Bitcoin is also going up in USD pairing, and you're using a software to buy the dips basically. Of course, this can also go against you. Let's say that you are at the other side of the trade, so you basically step into buying the dips at $10 EOS, and you deposited 100 EOS. So similar situation. You think that you have $1,000 to pay your losses in, but because EOS is also dropping in price and in Bitcoin value, um, at the moment that EOS is only $3, you only have $300 on the account to pay your losses in. And because you've been buying all the dips, well, that's not going to work out for you. So you've been liquidated way before we could even get to the $3 EOS, right? Because your collateral value, the thing that you're holding on Bybit to pay your losses in, is also depreciating, right? So it's never a bad idea to have a Bybit account where you also deposit some USDT coins just to do the within exchange within the exchange you change your assets towards EOS, for example, just to back your position up when the coin is dropping, for example. It's just an idea that you could use with a sub account, for example. I think we're looking at um, XRP table here, but we're going to try and work with this. Okay, so let's open a new one and let's take another chart in front of us and just go into the lower time frames of the USD pair. Sorry, and this is yeah Bitfinex. That's fine. We can do. Let's actually go to Bybit just to exchange to use. Um, there we go. And we take out our indicator. All right, we go. Um, all right, so sorry, I was that silent. I was just having a look at this. So the last range that we've been trading in since June the 10th. So basically, from the last drop onwards, we're creating a very strong volume area um, at the price that we're at right now. So 3.9, let's say $4. Some support around the 3.5, 3.6 area. So that's the first area that we would definitely want to cover and set up some agents to buy the dip. And currently, I think, yeah, it's just a bit aggressive because we're trading above the point of control. So it's most likely that we'll see somewhat more upside for now. Um, so that's what I will be looking at for this current table. And yes, there is more volume coming in from here. So I could say that's a target to have. I think I know enough for now about EOS to start creating our tables. And we have to get our TRS back in, move down to the 1 minute chart. And now we have two TRSs. That was not intended. Okay. All right. So if I take this to the lows, then, and I take the volume to back things up, then, all right. So let's see which period gives us let's see which periods gives us good trading signals. I normally go for the 43 period, and this looks perfect actually because we can buy something like this, like this, like this. Um, Maybe also look a little bit lower actually for EOS. Let's have a look at the 33. And yeah, I think I like the 33 period, so I'm going to work with that. So let's go back to our table, take the first row, move it over here. What I also like to do is get a little bit of a grasp on how big these movements are for EOS. So what dollar amounts are we talking? What percentage amounts? So a tiny wave, we're talking about 0.5%. And some of the bigger retracements, same thing basically, but this thing here, what are we talking about? 2.5%-ish. Right, right. I have one parent here. I'm not sure if I want to take too much ideas from this one, but I will keep it on my other screen for reference purposes. So I'll just go over how my thought process is at the moment. So first of all, we had a look at the TRS, and we were saying that the period of 33 would be interesting for us to look at. So that's the first thing we want to fill in. Are we starting with buying or selling? Well, we already said that we were pretty bullish, so let's start off with buyers only. So we want to buy the dips basically. We have one parent. Let's call it EOS by dip 1. So that's the first parent. The offset is 0.01. The entry multiplier is 0.3. This was used for XRP, I think, a very long time ago. Because this would be too little for EOS at the moment, I think. Would it? No, because it's a parent. It's actually okay for it to be that trigger happy, I guess you can call it. So let's have a look. Where would we set our, oh yeah, 3070 was just doing well enough for us. So let's spread our parents around that area. So let's say that the first parent is allowed to buy below 22. The second one, let's just quickly copy some over. So we want 3 parents. That's normally the amount of parents that I am going for or aiming for. So 22, and then we say that 28 is good and 32. Okay, so we'll distribute them around this lower level, right? So if we have like a wick like this going all the way to 18 or 19, well, then this first agent will be activated. So A is Bybit 1. Actually, I like reversing this, it makes more sense. 32, 28, 22, right? And um, where do we want to sell whatever we've bought? Well, we said that we were bullish. So if you bought something in a dip, would you really want to sell it statically for like 10 cents more? Whatever it is you bought, in this case EOS, would you statically want to decide upon your profit target? Or would you like to wait for higher up or your bigger profit targets because you're bullish on a bigger time frame? I let you guys think about that one while taking a sip, but of course, guys, you'd like to wait for your higher up target. So you're not in a rush to sell anything at the moment. Whenever you buy the dip, the logic that I'm going to implement is that this first buy dip agent, it will be pretty, it will have small profit targets. The second one will have medium profit targets, and the last one will have the biggest profit targets. Why? Because we know that if we're bullish and we get actually a dip like this that goes really low, then yeah, it's a great time for us to get in, right? So we can stay in that trade for longer. All right, so let's just continue. Where do we want to sell it? Well, let's say above 56, that's fine. 46, 56, and 66. And if I bought with this offset, how much higher would I want to sell when I reach my exit target? So my exit target is an RSI of 66, not an RSI, of course, guys, but the TRS, which you guys can find in TradingView. Um, so what is these settings are currently telling the bot is that it's allowed to buy below 30 on average, and only when it gets above 55-ish, it can start placing exits with limit orders, right? So that's basically what we've told the bot so far, that it's allowed to buy the dips as long as the TRS is below 33 on average, and then when it bought, it should wait for the TRS to be back above the 50 area, 60 area, and then it should start placing limit cells. But how high up should they place these limit cells? So let's say that this one is okay to do it not that high up. This one should do it something somewhat higher, and this one should do it at 62. So basically, we're guaranteeing for this parent 62 cent profit, 32 cent for this one, and a 12 cent for this one. And on EOS, that's pretty significant because 62 cents, well, we're talking about 20% gain. So, well, not 17%-ish gains if we can get a trade of 60 cents locked in. It will, of course, be a little bit more than 60 cents because of the dynamic targets using the RSI. So, will this RSI work? No, because we have prevent exits set on var. On var basically in Dutch means false. So the prevent exits are false. So it will not prevent exits. That means that if the agent bought below 30, it will directly start placing the exits using offset times exit multiplier. That's not what we want. We want it to wait for the opposite side of the TRS, the opposite side of the TRS, which we described here. And if we buy low, we want to wait for high before we start placing these limit sell orders. So we want to stop it from placing our sell orders directly. So we set these on var, which is basically true in your own Google Docs if you have it set to English. So now our prevent exits are var. That means that every time we buy below 30, we're waiting up for above 60 in order to sell our contracts. We have the amount set to one contract. That's basically the lowest amount. Why do we do that? Well, we're going to do a trailing entry. That means that we're waiting for price to actually reverse before we're going to take our entry. Why are we doing that? Well, just to make sure that the price is going our way before we start entering. That's mainly you have like drops like these. Oh, that's a line. You have drops like these where there is just no stopping, and you don't want to get in actually until you have some form of a reversal which confirms that price might start uh, getting back up. So using a trailing entry just makes sure that the price is actually going back up before you participate in this long trade or bullish trade. Okay, but why do we give this agent only one amount to trade? Well, basically because we're going to create children for this agent who are going to do limit orders, but because we know that when the parent did a market order using $1 contract and a trailing entry with all these basically settings, with the TRS and everything, that means that we found an area of interest. We found an area where we are interested to be buyers. For example, here or here or here, right? So and here we would like to be sellers. So we found these areas by setting up the TRS and the prevent entries and exits and stuff like that. We've all set that up, and now we're going to do a trailing entry if that happens. So that it will cost us money because we're doing a market entry that will cost us market fees. But then after that, the children will try to make up for it. So let's start making some children that will be triggered after the parent has entered. So the first children we will make are for parent EOS by dip 1. So the child should be called by dip 1.1, of course. And let's just drag some of them over. Let's make 6 of them. That's perfectly fine. And let's just take the settings of one of the agents so that we have some numbers here already. And the first entry, because we really have to start diving into how does price move on EOS, like how much are the price movements, 394, 15, 48. So it's basically moving in 10 cents, 15 cents movements. That's good for us to know. Um, Then we go back to the 1 minute and we take a quick measure of one of the signals, how much price movement that would give us. So the signal would be, for example, this one. Let's take another one, this one, for example. And let's say we take it all the way down here, but we'd also bring it down. So here we're talking about 1.5%. All right, that's great. Okay, that's some information for us to note down. We're moving in cents, so there is so doing a third of a cent for a trailing entry is maybe a little bit for the parent it's fine, but for the first limit order it's a little bit low. So what we want to do is say that this can be 1. Entry multiplier is basically a multiplier for the offset to make them even lower than the minimum values that our Google Docs allows. So don't pay too much attention to it, but this is just offset times entry multiplier becomes your entry target. So 1 times 1 times 1 cent is 1 cent below the price. So if the parent EOS dip 1 has entered a market trade, that means that this child will try to buy EOS 1 cent below that the price at that point. Okay, 1 second. So the spread on EOS is a tenth of a cent. Um, okay, so that's good to know because we could even have this to set to 0.1 and then it would be tenth of a cent. We would be the first entries. That's really good to know actually. Okay. Um, all right, so we want to start at 1 cent and then do let's go over all the other settings. So the entry multiply is okay. Do we want to sell 12 cents above it? Well, that makes sense because we just looked into the second chart and we saw that movements were um, um, around 10, 15 cents. The waves, the smallest waves in EOS. Um, so that's okay. And then the amount is $1. That's also fine for now, 999. So there is no entry multiplier. Well, that seems a bit odd. So let's say that after every 0.5 minutes, we start checking up on our entry or our place in the order book. No exit timeout. That means that we are giving this agent as much time as it requires to reach its exit target. Prevent entries. Do we want to prevent this agent from entering? No, because the parent already told this child that it's an interesting area to look for a long entry. So there is no need for us to look at the TRS anymore. We just want to basically get in. Um, let's see, prevent exits. Do we want to prevent the exits? Also for this one, not. And it's allowed to buy indeed. This does not really matter. It doesn't require a trailing entry. If you set a trailing entry, it will never do a limit buy. A trailing entry is always a market order. So make sure that you remove this if you're planning to do limit orders. So that's the first child that we created. Then the second one becomes really easy because we can just increase um, um, basically the offset, right? So we can just start laddering down or on the orders. If we just drag these down, um, and I like to go for a little bit bigger of a, should I? Haven't been running EOS for a while, so I would definitely need to have a look at this and to test it out. Um, all right, so 1, 2, 2, 3, 5, and $8 is okay. So this first parent has about 24 bucks to spend on an entry if the TRS comes below the 33 period and the 33 oversold area. So we have 6 children, and the next thing we'll do, we'll create another 6 children, but then for the second parent, they'll of course not be the same, um, although they will be pretty similar. Let's start this one off with a 0.2 and 42 also fine. Oh, okay, something like that. So we are covering a bigger range on this one. Let's make this 36 so that it kind of exponentially grows. All right, so those are the second children, and they will get bigger amounts from me because the drop is more significant. Instead of the 32 TRS, we get down to the 28 TRS. So let's do 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 12. Is so this. Never mind. Doesn't want to do that. It's fine. Let's just continue with the next one. Okay, the third one is basically the very extreme, and what we want to do for this one is we want to say that if this one is triggered, then all the agents should just enter as soon as possible because yeah, it's a very interesting area. So what we'll do is say 0.01, and then we'll do the thingy with the zero point 0.1 here, so that we are basically the first in line in the order book for that particular trade. And then the next thing we will do is zero point 0.4. Does that make sense? That's fine. 4, 7, 8, right. Okay, and these amounts can also be a lot bigger because you're a lot more confident that this will be a better entry than the entries you had before. Um, Okay, and I'm purposely not choosing for a stop loss because I keep the amounts as low as possible just to do the market making. Like at the moment that you're choosing to run an EOS table and you think that EOS is going to go up, well, we've seen that the profit targets are pretty high up there, right? We could easily see 14 bucks or whatever for EOS, and that means that if you buy 100 EOS, that you're already making significant profits. There is no need to really add to that too much. But if you can add to that a little bit and grow your stack with a couple percent per day by buying the dips with a little bit leverage instead of going like 20x leverage on an altcoin, no, just use like 1.5x, and at some point you might come to like a 2, 3, 4x, but that's like your limit at that moment. You start taking your losses if it goes down more. I think that's the way to approach this. So lower amounts, stop losses. Of course, you can do that, but you have to decide for yourself what your invalidation point becomes. And if you're not monitoring your trades and you'll be gone for like days, that's yeah, it's a better choice to take stop losses. And for me, it's currently not the case, so I won't be getting into that right now. Um, and I'll basically be keeping track if these levels are being held. What you can also do is set a conditional order on Bybit, basically saying that if we come below this area, you close any open long contracts. If you don't know how to do that, you can always ask in the test chat, and I will make a description on how you can yeah, make sure that that's set up correctly. All right, all right. So now we have three parents with all of them six children, and yeah, we basically set them to buy the 30 area and sell the 50 and 60 areas. Right, so let's just double check everything. The exit multipliers, for example, if I'm going to exit 21 cents times 12, that means that I'm looking for a $2 exit target, which might sound crazy, but actually, if I'm thinking about it right now, if you're really that bullish on EOS, then that's pretty good target to have, honestly. So I'm okay with keeping it like that. Um, although, yeah, 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 yeah. So let's compare it with the last table we had because there we have, oh, that's another one. All right, so the next thing we're going to do actually is set some agents to sell the tops because we do have some tops, of course. We do top out and we do get some retracements from that as well. Um, but what we're going to do is we're going to be a lot more cautious with that. So what we'll do is we take two of these parents and we take them down here and we call them sell one, so top two, and let's set them to sell anything from a quick look. We set it to 70. Can we set it higher just to make sure it's going to perform better? Or does that not really make sense? Not really, because really 60, 70 is really the area that it starts stopping out. Actually 69. So that's what we're going to use. So above 69, 69, 69. Oops, you were not part of this. So 69, 69. Okay. So we have our selling point set. So these agents are sellers. So we set the sells allowed on var and the buys allowed on var so that they cannot buy but only sell. Prevent entries. Yes, we want to prevent the entries until TRS comes above 69. Do we want to prevent an exit? No, we do not want to prevent the exits because this is a short trade, we just want to make small ins and outs to add to our position, but not per se. Oh, by the way, EOS is breaking out at the moment on the lower time frame, so that's great to see. Okay, sell tops, and then we're going to create some children for those, and those children are going to be the bigger ones of like this. No, let's do it like this. Okay, so they have pretty big exit targets, so that's the first thing we want to change. We want to basically set them to, I think, a 1 it will be fine. Even lower here, 0.6 and 0.4. Yeah, we just don't want to make a lot of profit on these trades, but we do want to take profit. We want to take a trade because it's basically a great loss if the TRS actually comes this high. So let's put it like this. Okay, and I'm pretty sure we did overlook something, so we do have to go over this at the end and just see if everything is in place. I think it's going to be very effective because I think I forgot some things, or at least can optimize some of the parts. Okay, so right, so now they're allowed to sell but not to buy, and we said that our TRS is 69, so that's what we're going to do. Oh, those are prevent exit, so that doesn't even matter that much, and prevent entries and exit are both set off, so entry time out um, every 1 minute. Well, that makes it a lot safer, so that's fine to keep it that way. Sell tops. Uh, okay, let's see. Entry timeouts. Where do we want to chase the price up quickly? And did we set ID to? No, so let's set one to 73. And that's the second one that has a bigger trade size as well. Oops, not yet, so let's do that quickly. Okay, and well, then you have like the fundamentals, like the skeleton of your table here. Let's just do some fun stuff and put some very active agents in there. You can remove those later, but just to show you guys what we've been building and how it then works in your own table if you're going to test it out in a second. So let's say that we want to take these. And we want to take one parent, let's say this one. Okay, so I'm going to set these on lower period so that they just get into more trades. It will be a little bit more active. All right, so we just create some more agents to basically trade the smaller waves. Because a lot of people always say that or are a little bit confused when their table does not start trading right away. It normally waits for certain triggers to happen in the chart or in the price action. And so that's why I added this little section just to have some trades happening a little bit earlier. So yield stable. I'll be testing it out after this video, and if there is no bugs, then I guess yeah, feel free to use it, and I will try to upgrade it over time and make it more active and better. Thanks for watching, and I hope it helped some of you guys to figure out a way to create your own ideas into a Google Docs. And let me know if there is any questions.